Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Happy New Year. I'll try to keep this really short. I was able to attend the full Zoom meeting that happened with the CCFR versus the Crown as they made their case to an Associate Chief Justice. This is basically the end of the line for this particular proceeding. And I think overall, the good news is that they made a very effective arguments. The CCFR lawyers were top-notch. They were 10 out of 10, very articulate. They knew their stuff. They had great slides basically indicating very technical knowledge. And while they relied on that knowledge, they didn't push it too much. Is that they didn't go too much into sort of the weeds, and they relied more on sort of their, breakdown of some of the Crown witnesses that had been brought up previously in lower courts. And I think they did an effective job in sort of breaking down those witnesses and basically citing bias. Even if an expert witness had bias, the Crown actually ended up arguing that even if they are impartial, that because they're deemed a expert witness because they said so, that kind of testimony can't be stricken, that kind of stuff. That seemed like, the Crown might have had a problem because they were using possibly some extremely biased witnesses that they didn't realize might have been a problem going into this kind of proceeding. Further good news, the Chief Justice had actually had some great comments regarding the FRT, specifically to Counsel Gorham. For example, how would Macca be able to comply with the law? They specifically built a firearm from the ground up to comply with Canadian regulations. It was not built for any other purpose. It was built for sporting and hunting purposes in Canada, period, end of stop, not based on any firearm. And what it ended up happening is that during the May 1st gun ban, and then subsequently in the following weeks, the FRT was updated, and now it is now claimed as being an AR variant, just like the modern Sporter. Again, prior to May 1st, not based on any firearm. After May 1st, because we said so, we think you're a variant. And the judge had asked the Crown Counsel what was Maccabee supposed to comply with the law if the law literally changes sort of in the middle of it. And I thought that was a really great point. Gorham's response right here was to say, well, if they comply with the new law, then they can keep doing business. And then the judge immediately replied with, yeah, but it's unclear. How are they supposed to comply with the law if it's unclear? And Gorham basically went on to say, well, that's unfortunate, in like a 10-minute sort of legalese sort of spiel. Okay, so he actually didn't end up coming back after that. There were two other lawyers, McKinnon, and he wasn't. I don't believe he had many great points. So Gorham. This is me tweeting about that. Now, the last Crown Counsel was pretty good for their side, and he cited a lot of case law and that kinds of stuff. The big thing is that he was citing a 1993 case law, basically stating the government was limiting magazine capacity, and there was a legal challenge saying that, well, it's inconvenient and it doesn't serve the public interest that much, basically. And the Crown's argument was, and they wanted relief to review it, and that was struck down because the convenience factor for the current owners of those magazines was insignificant compared to the perceived public safety at the time. Now, as we know, magazine capacity being limited doesn't actually do anything for public safety, but at the time it wasn't really well researched. So moving forward, they had argued that every day of delay in terms of like they don't want to put an injunction on this kind of law, every day of delay that these prohib arms are in the hands of the public, that's a risk to public safety, is basically their line of argument. And then they sort of parlayed that into the May 1st, saying that we have to ban them because public safety. But again, they didn't sort of follow through and explain, okay, well, if they have to ban them and because of public safety, then why haven't they removed them? Especially for 2 years. Like, that seems like if it was an urgent need to sort of make the public safer, then why would you let, the law-abiding gun owners of Canada keep their now prohibited firearms for 2 extra years? If it was urgent, they would be taken. So if it's not urgent, is it really public safety? So is kind of my counter argument. Now, again, that wasn't sort of argued on the CCFR side, like it wasn't really countered. I don't necessarily say it would need to be countered because it's almost self-explanatory. And the justice, I think, understands this, right? So she has all the previous lower court rulings. It's going to take her like a month to follow through with it. Overall, I would say that I am hopeful for a positive result. I didn't cover all the arguments. I'm sure Ian at Runkle and the Bailey will cover sort of more of the individual arguments. But overall, I think I'm hopeful for it. Specifically, there was an example of the FRT for the modern sporter that was brought up. Again, it was changed after May 1st to indicate it was a variant of an AR-10. Prior to that, it had not been. And that term variant was a big problem. The Crown using undefined terms was a big problem, such as assault-style weapons. This was argued by the CCFR lawyers that there's no definition. How do Canadians follow the law if there's no actual definition? What characteristics define a assault-style weapon? We have literally no idea. And the OIC bans bolt action firearms as well as break action shotguns. Like, is a break action shotgun an assault style weapon? Like, that was what was told to us at the time. So, there's a lot of overall concerning things. I believe the justice was receptive to it. I'm not going to hold my breath, as she can be as surgical as she wants with her possible relief. It was also argued by the Crown that she has actually, in fact, no authority to offer any relief of any kind for an OIC because the government says so, basically, is what the argument was from the last lawyer, Milne. So we'll see what happens. I'm hopeful, but I realize that there may not be any sort of change. This is the highest level challenge a organization has went. I believe the arguments have been made very well. I think this is our absolute best chance to sort of put a dent in the armor of sort of the gun control and it's perceived as being a public safety issue. It's very possible that the FRT could have the whole system would have to be sort of redone, or possibly be able to be challenged by your average person in a much more reasonable manner. Like if they change a designation, it should be clearly stated what characteristics of that firearm changed to meet a new requirement, which would be a higher level of, either moving an item from a non-restricted status to restricted or restricted to prohibited, that kind of thing. So, okay, so with all that, I plan on keeping these videos a little bit faster and looser. It's a little bit less time commitment on my side. I was finding there was a lot of time being invested in this, and I'd rather get more videos out with more content, sort of speaking my mind as to what's actually going on, sort of what I see. I'll try to keep it as tempered as possible. I think that's what is needed in this new 2021 world. And yeah, thank you very much for watching. Stay safe out there. Check me out on Twitter. I might be checking out some other platforms as well. And I'll see you in the next one.